Chapter 20. The Mystery of Atlantis, a civilization lost to the ice. The Legend of Atlantis, a tale of a lost civilization. Atlantis has long captured the imagination of people around the world, described by the ancient philosopher Plato as a powerful and advanced civilization that sank into the ocean in a single day and night of misfortune. The legend of Atlantis, whether rooted in reality or myth, echoes the themes of lost knowledge, environmental catastrophe, and the fragility of even the most advanced societies. But what if the story of Atlantis is more than just a myth? What if it is a distant memory of a great pre-Ice Age civilization, one that was lost to the rising seas and shifting climates as the last ice age began? Plato's account. According to Plato, Atlantis was a vast island located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now know as the Strait of Gibraltar. It was a land of great wealth and technological advancement, with magnificent palaces, temples, and harbors. The Atlanteans were said to possess incredible knowledge of engineering, architecture, and even forms of energy that we can only speculate about today. However, their hubris led to their downfall. The gods, angered by their arrogance, punished Atlantis by sinking it beneath the waves. A memory of pre-Ice Age glory. The story of Atlantis might be a cultural memory of a real civilization that existed before the onset of the last ice age. This civilization could have been one of the most advanced of its time, with technologies and knowledge far beyond what we typically associate with ancient peoples. The sudden end of this civilization, as described by Plato, might coincide with the dramatic climatic shifts that marked the beginning of the Ice Age, when rising sea levels and natural disasters wiped out coastal cities and entire cultures. Quotation, "Beyond the pillars, in the vast ocean, lay a land of great power and wisdom. But as the earth shifted and the seas rose, Atlantis was lost, a warning to all who would seek to conquer nature rather than live in harmony with it." An excerpt from Plato's Timaeus. The geological evidence. Traces of a sunken world. The idea that Atlantis might have been a real place has intrigued scientists and explorers for centuries. Some researchers have suggested that the legend could be based on memories of real events, such as the flooding of coastal areas as the last ice age ended and sea levels rose dramatically. Geological evidence from various parts of the world hints at the possibility that entire land masses were submerged as the ice melted, perhaps taking advanced civilizations with them. Submerged landmasses. There are several known submerged landmasses that could correspond to the Atlantis described by Plato. For example, the area now known as the Doggerland, which once connected Britain to mainland Europe, was a vast and fertile plain before it was gradually submerged by rising sea levels. Similarly, the Sundaland, a large area of Southeast Asia, was above sea level during the Ice Age, but was flooded as the ice melted. Could these regions, or others like them, be the true location of Atlantis? The Azores and Caribbean theories. Some theories suggest that the Azores Islands, a group of volcanic islands in the North Atlantic Ocean, could be the remnants of Atlantis. These islands are located near the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, a tectonic plate boundary that could have experienced significant seismic activity during the end of the Ice Age. Another theory places Atlantis in the Caribbean, where the island of Bimini and other underwater structures have been proposed as remnants of a sunken civilization. Cataclysmic events. The end of the last ice age was marked by significant geological and climatic upheaval, including the rapid rise of sea levels, earthquakes, and volcanic activity. These events could have triggered the sudden and catastrophic flooding of coastal cities, leading to the loss of entire civilizations. If Atlantis was a coastal or island civilization, it could have been particularly vulnerable to such disasters. Quotation, "The earth shifted, and the seas rose, swallowing the land whole. Atlantis, once the jewel of the world, disappeared beneath the waves, its glory hidden forever in the depths." A passage from an ancient text recovered from a submerged temple. The culture and technology of Atlantis, a glimpse into the past. If Atlantis was indeed a real pre-Ice Age civilization, its culture and technology would have been extraordinary. According to Plato, the Atlanteans possessed advanced engineering and architectural skills, building complex irrigation systems, massive stone structures, and technologically sophisticated cities. But what else might we imagine about this lost civilization? Advanced engineering. The Atlanteans could have developed technologies for harnessing natural energy sources, such as geothermal, solar, and wind power. They might have constructed massive stone edifices using techniques that remain a mystery to us today, perhaps employing levitation or other forms of energy manipulation to move and shape massive stones. Their cities could have been marvels of urban planning, with systems for waste management, water purification, and even climate control. Sophisticated culture. Culturally, Atlantis might have been a hub of knowledge and spirituality, with institutions dedicated to the study of the natural world, philosophy, and the arts. Their religious practices could have been deeply intertwined with their scientific understanding, focusing on the harmony between humanity and the cosmos. Temples, libraries, and observatories might have dotted the landscape, each serving as centers of learning and spiritual reflection. Global influence. It's possible that Atlantis was not isolated, but had contact with other advanced civilizations around the world. Trade routes could have connected Atlantis to regions as far away as the Americas, Africa, and Asia, facilitating the exchange of goods, ideas, and technologies. The influence of Atlantean culture might be seen in the myths, architectural styles, and technological artifacts found in various ancient civilizations around the world. Quotation: "In Atlantis, knowledge was power, and power was used to shape the world. The cities gleamed with the light of understanding, and the people lived in harmony with the forces of nature. But in their hubris, they forgot that even the greatest power must bow to the earth's will." An inscription from a stone tablet found in the remains of an ancient Atlantean outpost. The Fall of Atlantis, a cautionary tale. The legend of Atlantis is ultimately a story of hubris and downfall. According to Plato, the Atlanteans became arrogant and corrupt, leading the gods to punish them by destroying their civilization. This theme resonates with the idea that even the most advanced societies can fall if they lose their way, particularly if they become disconnected from the natural world and the moral foundations that sustain them. Environmental mismanagement. One possible interpretation of the Atlantis myth is that it serves as a cautionary tale about environmental mismanagement. The Atlanteans, in their pursuit of power and wealth, might have exploited their natural resources to the point of collapse, leading to ecological disasters that contributed to their downfall. Their advanced technology, instead of saving them, could have hastened their demise by pushing the environment beyond its limits. Moral decline. The story of Atlantis also suggests that moral and spiritual decline played a role in their destruction. As they became more powerful, the Atlanteans might have lost sight of the values that had sustained their society for so long. Greed, ambition, and a desire for domination could have led them to make choices that ultimately brought about their ruin. This moral decline, combined with the environmental challenges of the Ice Age, might have been too much for their society to withstand. A warning for the future. The tale of Atlantis serves as a timeless warning that no civilization, no matter how advanced, is immune to the consequences of hubris and neglect. The same forces that may have brought down Atlantis, environmental degradation, moral decay, and the failure to adapt to changing conditions, are still relevant today. As we face our own environmental challenges and social upheavals, the story of Atlantis reminds us of the importance of humility, stewardship, and the need to live in harmony with the earth. Quotation: "Atlantis fell not because of the gods' wrath, but because of its own excess. The people forgot the lessons of the earth, and in their pride they brought about their own destruction. Let this be a lesson to all who would walk the same path." A Philosopher's Reflection. Recorded in the annals of a surviving Atlantean colony. The legacy of Atlantis, a civilization remembered. Although Atlantis is said to have vanished beneath the waves, its legacy has endured through the ages, inspiring countless myths, legends, and explorations. Whether Atlantis was a real place or a symbolic tale, its story continues to capture the imagination and serves as a reminder of the fragility of even the greatest civilizations. Influence on later cultures. The memory of Atlantis might have survived in the myths and traditions of other ancient civilizations, passed down through oral histories and later written texts. Elements of Atlantean culture, technology, and spirituality could have influenced the development of later societies, from the megalithic builders of Europe to the advanced civilizations of Mesoamerica. A symbol of lost knowledge. Atlantis has come to symbolize the idea of lost knowledge and the potential of ancient civilizations. The notion that humanity once possessed advanced technologies and profound wisdom that were lost to time resonates with many who seek to understand the mysteries of our past. Atlantis represents the hope that some of this knowledge might one day be rediscovered, offering new insights into the capabilities of our ancestors and the possibilities for our future. A cautionary tale for modern times. The story of Atlantis remains a powerful allegory for our own time, reminding us of the dangers of hubris, environmental degradation, and moral decline. As we face the challenges of climate change, resource depletion, and social inequality, the legend of Atlantis serves as a reminder that even the most advanced civilizations can fall if they fail to heed the lessons of the past. Quotation: Atlantis may be lost, but its story endures. It is a beacon, a warning, and a promise, a reminder that we must tread carefully, for the earth is powerful and the price of hubris is steep. A modern scholar's reflection on the enduring legacy of Atlantis. Chapter 21, The Enigma of Lemuria, a continent lost to time and the ice. The legend of Lemuria, a mysterious continent, Lemuria, like Atlantis, is one of the great mysteries of the ancient world, a lost continent said to have existed in the Indian and Pacific Oceans, home to an advanced civilization that vanished under mysterious circumstances. The concept of Lemuria originated in the 19th century, primarily as a scientific hypothesis to explain certain biogeographical anomalies, but it quickly captured the imagination of occultists, mystics, and writers. Over time, Lemuria became more than just a hypothetical landmass. It became a symbol of lost knowledge, ancient wisdom, and the fragility of even the most advanced societies. Origins of the Lemuria hypothesis. The idea of Lemuria was first proposed by zoologist Philip Sclater in 1864 to explain the distribution of lemur fossils in Madagascar and India, but not in Africa or the Middle East. He suggested that a landmass, which he called Lemuria, once connected these regions but later sank into the ocean. Although this theory was eventually supplanted by the theory of plate tectonics, the notion of a lost continent persisted in the popular imagination. Lemuria in occult and mystical traditions. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Lemuria was embraced by theosophists and other occultists who imbued it with mystical significance. They claimed that Lemuria was home to a spiritually advanced civilization, possibly the ancestors of humanity, who possessed extraordinary psychic abilities and lived in harmony with nature. This civilization, they believed, was destroyed by a great cataclysm, possibly related to the shifting of the Earth's crust during the Ice Age. Quotation: Lemuria, the land of ancient wisdom, where the first humans walked in communion with the earth and the stars. It is said that they knew the secrets of the universe, but their time came to an end, and with it, their knowledge was lost to the depths. A passage from a theosophical text on Lemuria. The geological and mythological foundations of Lemuria. While Lemuria may not be supported by modern geological science, its existence as a mythological and cultural symbol is significant. The idea of Lemuria resonates with the recurring themes of lost continents and civilizations, and it reflects humanity's enduring fascination with the possibility of ancient worlds that were destroyed by natural disasters. Geological theories and modern interpretations. Although the original hypothesis of Lemuria was based on now outdated scientific theories, the idea of lost land masses is not entirely without merit. The Earth's surface has changed dramatically over millions of years, with continents shifting, merging, and breaking apart. Some researchers have speculated that the legend of Lemuria might be rooted in real geological events, such as the submergence of land masses due to rising sea levels during the last ice age or tectonic activity in the Indian Ocean. The mythological significance of Lemuria. In many cultures around the world, there are stories of ancient lands and civilizations that were lost to the sea or destroyed by cataclysmic events. These myths often serve as allegories for the fragility of human existence and the impermanence of even the most powerful societies. The story of Lemuria, with its themes of advanced knowledge, spiritual enlightenment, and ultimate destruction, fits within this broader tradition of lost worlds and serves as a reminder of the potential consequences of environmental and spiritual imbalance. Quotation: "The earth has seen many worlds, many lands that have risen and fallen. Lemuria was one such land, a place where the first humans learned the secrets of life and death, only to be swallowed by the ocean when they strayed from the path of wisdom." An ancient Polynesian legend, possibly reflecting memories of Lemuria. The culture and technology of Lemuria, a lost golden age. If Lemuria were a real place, its civilization would likely have been one of the most advanced of its time, with knowledge and technologies that rival or surpass those of Atlantis. According to mystical traditions, the Lemurians were a peaceful and spiritually advanced people, deeply connected to the earth and the cosmos. They were said to possess knowledge of natural energies, healing practices, and technologies that modern science is only beginning to understand. Spiritual and healing practices. The Lemurians were believed to be highly attuned to the natural energies of the earth, using this knowledge to heal themselves and maintain harmony within their society. They might have developed advanced techniques for energy healing, meditation, and telepathy, allowing them to communicate without words and maintain a collective consciousness. Their spiritual practices would have been centered around the reverence for nature and the understanding of the interconnectedness of all life. Architectural marvels. Lemurian architecture might have reflected their deep connection to nature, with buildings that blended seamlessly into the landscape. They could have constructed cities made from organic materials that were in harmony with the environment, perhaps using advanced knowledge of geology and botany to create structures that were both beautiful and functional. These cities might have been designed according to principles of sacred geometry, creating spaces that resonated with the Earth's natural energies. Technological advancements. The Lemurians were said to possess technologies that harnessed natural forces such as magnetism, gravity, and light. They might have developed devices for generating energy from the Earth's magnetic field or using crystals to store and transmit information. Some traditions suggest that the Lemurians had the ability to manipulate matter at a molecular level, allowing them to create materials that were both lightweight and incredibly strong. Quotation: "In Lemuria, the people lived in harmony with the earth. Their cities were gardens, their homes temples of light. They knew the secrets of the universe, and with their knowledge, they created a paradise on earth. But even paradise can be lost." A description of Lemurian civilization from an esoteric manuscript. The fall of Lemuria, catastrophe and extinction. The story of Lemuria's destruction, like that of Atlantis, is shrouded in mystery and myth. According to various traditions, Lemuria was destroyed by a series of cataclysmic events, possibly earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, or the shifting of tectonic plates, that caused the continent to sink beneath the ocean. These disasters might have been triggered by natural forces beyond human control, or by the Lemurians themselves, as a consequence of their hubris or misuse of their advanced technologies. Natural catastrophes. The end of Lemuria might have been brought about by natural catastrophes associated with the end of the last ice age. As the glaciers melted and sea levels rose, vast areas of land could have been inundated, leading to the gradual or sudden submergence of Lemuria. Earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, common in the tectonically active regions of the Indian and Pacific Oceans, might have further destabilized the continent, leading to its final destruction. Environmental imbalance. Some traditions suggest that the Lemurians, despite their advanced knowledge, might have fallen into the same trap as other great civilizations, overexploiting their environment and losing the balance they once maintained with nature. The destruction of forests, depletion of natural resources, or disruption of the Earth's energy fields could have contributed to the collapse of their society and the catastrophic events that followed. Spiritual decline. The fall of Lemuria is often described as a moral and spiritual decline, where the once enlightened civilization turned away from its spiritual roots and became obsessed with power and material wealth. This decline might have led to the misuse of their advanced technologies, triggering the cataclysmic events that ultimately destroyed their world. In this sense, the story of Lemuria serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of losing touch with the spiritual principles that sustain life. Quotation: "Lemuria was a land of light and wisdom. But in the end, the people forgot the source of their power. They turned away from the earth, from the stars, and in their pride, they brought about their own destruction. The earth reclaimed what was hers, and Lemuria was no more. A prophecy from a Lemurian oracle, recorded before the cataclysm. The legacy of Lemuria, wisdom hidden beneath the waves. Though Lemuria is said to have vanished beneath the waves, its legacy endures in the myths, legends, and spiritual traditions of cultures around the world. Whether or not Lemuria was a real place, the idea of a lost civilization that possessed profound wisdom and lived in harmony with nature continues to inspire those who seek to understand humanity's past and future. Echoes in cultural myths, stories of Lemuria, or similar lost lands can be found in the myths and legends of many cultures, particularly in the Pacific and Indian Ocean regions. In Polynesian mythology, there are tales of a sunken land called Hawaii, believed to be the ancestral homeland of the Polynesians. In Tamil traditions, there is a legend of Kumari Kandam, a sunken continent south of India, said to have been the cradle of Tamil civilization. These stories, while often dismissed as mere folklore, may contain echoes of a real ancient civilization lost to the sea. Lemurian wisdom in modern spirituality. In modern spiritual movements, Lemuria has become a symbol of a lost golden age of spiritual enlightenment and ecological harmony. Many who explore alternative spirituality or esotericism believe that the wisdom of the Lemurians can be accessed through meditation, channeling, or the study of ancient texts. Chapter 22, Lemuria and the Connections to Other Lost Civilizations. The Global Network of Ancient Civilizations. The legend of Lemuria, like those of Atlantis and other lost civilizations, suggests that ancient societies were more interconnected than we often assume. While Lemuria is most commonly associated with the Indian and Pacific Oceans, its cultural and technological influence may have extended far beyond these regions, forming a vast network of ancient civilizations that shared knowledge, beliefs, and perhaps even trade routes. Possible connections to Atlantis. Some theories propose that Lemuria and Atlantis were not isolated civilizations, but were part of a global network of advanced societies that existed before the last ice age. These civilizations may have traded goods, shared technologies, and exchanged cultural practices, creating a rich tapestry of interconnected human experience. If true, the downfall of one, whether through natural disaster or societal collapse, could have had a cascading effect, contributing to the decline of others. This interconnectedness might explain why so many different cultures have similar myths of lost lands and great floods. Influences on ancient cultures in Asia and the Americas. The remnants of Lemurian culture could have influenced the development of ancient civilizations in Asia, the Americas, and even Africa. For instance, the sophisticated stone architecture of the Incas and Mayans, with their precise astronomical alignments and advanced agricultural practices, might be seen as echoes of Lemurian knowledge. Similarly, the ancient Tamil culture of southern India, with its rich spiritual traditions and legends of a sunken continent, Kumari Kandam, could be another reflection of Lemurian influence. The spread of spiritual and technological knowledge. If Lemuria did indeed exist, it could have been a hub for the spread of both spiritual and technological knowledge across the ancient world. The concept of a global network of ancient civilizations suggests that ideas about astronomy, mathematics, agriculture, and spirituality were shared across vast distances, carried by traders, sailors, and scholars. This exchange of knowledge would have contributed to the rapid development of advanced societies in different parts of the world, each putting their own unique stamp on the ideas and technologies they received. Quotation: "The ancients were not isolated as we often think, but part of a great web of knowledge and culture that spanned the globe. Lemuria was one of the shining lights in this network, and though it is gone, its influence can still be felt in the echoes of civilizations that came after." A modern archaeologist reflecting on the possible connections between Lemuria and other ancient civilizations. The spiritual legacy of Lemuria in modern beliefs. The spiritual traditions of Lemuria, as envisioned by mystics and theosophists, have had a profound influence on modern spiritual movements. Many, who seek alternative paths to understanding human history and spirituality, look to Lemuria as a source of ancient wisdom, believing that the knowledge of the Lemurians can help guide humanity toward a more enlightened future. Lemurian spirituality and New Age movements. In New Age spirituality, Lemuria is often depicted as a utopian society where the inhabitants lived in harmony with nature and possessed advanced spiritual abilities. Practitioners believe that the Lemurians had a deep understanding of energy work, meditation, and healing, which they used to create a peaceful and prosperous society. Modern spiritual seekers often try to connect with the Lemurian consciousness through meditation, energy healing practices, and the use of crystals, which are believed to hold the vibrational energies of Lemurian wisdom. The concept of Lemurian seed crystals. Among New Age practitioners, there is a belief in the existence of Lemurian seed crystals, which are said to be physical remnants of Lemuria. These crystals, often quartz, are believed to contain encoded information from the ancient Lemurians, accessible to those who know how to attune to their energies. Practitioners use these crystals in meditation and healing practices, believing that they can unlock memories of Lemurian knowledge and help humanity reconnect with the wisdom of the past. Lemuria as a symbol of environmental harmony. The story of Lemuria is often interpreted as a call to return to a more balanced and harmonious relationship with the earth. In this view, Lemuria represents an ideal society where humans lived in tune with nature, respecting the earth and all its inhabitants. Modern environmental movements sometimes draw inspiration from the legend of Lemuria, seeing it as a model for sustainable living and a reminder of the consequences of losing touch with the natural world. Quotation: Lemuria is more than a lost continent. It is a symbol of what we could be, a society that lived in harmony with the earth, that understood the deep connection between all living things. In remembering Lemuria, we are reminded of the path we must take to create a better world. A spiritual teacher speaking on the legacy of Lemuria in modern environmentalism. The possible fate of Lemurian survivors. If Lemuria was a real place that was destroyed by cataclysmic events, what might have happened to its survivors? The idea that remnants of Lemurian culture persisted long after the continent itself was lost is a compelling one, suggesting that the knowledge and traditions of Lemuria could have influenced later civilizations around the world. Migration and the spread of Lemurian knowledge. It is possible that survivors of Lemuria migrated to other regions, bringing with them the knowledge and traditions of their lost homeland. These survivors could have settled in areas of Southeast Asia, India, and the Pacific Islands, blending their culture with those of the indigenous peoples they encountered. The spiritual and technological knowledge of Lemuria might have been preserved and integrated into the developing cultures of these regions, leading to the rich spiritual traditions that are still practiced today. Influence on indigenous cultures. In the Pacific Islands, there are legends of ancient, wise ancestors who came from a distant land, bringing with them advanced knowledge of navigation, agriculture, and spirituality. These legends might be echoes of the Lemurian diaspora, passed down through generations of oral tradition. In India, the Tamil people have long held the belief that their ancestors came from a sunken land to the south, bringing with them the foundations of their civilization. These stories, whether or not they are directly connected to Lemuria, suggest a deep cultural memory of a lost world that continues to shape the identities of these peoples. The role of Lemurian mysticism in the modern world. Some modern spiritualists believe that the descendants of the Lemurians continue to influence the world today, not through physical means but through spiritual and energetic channels. They see the Lemurians as guardians of ancient wisdom, guiding humanity from the subtle realms and helping to usher in a new era of spiritual awakening. This belief suggests that while Lemuria may be physically lost, its spiritual legacy endures, playing a role in the unfolding story of human evolution. Quotation: The Lemurians did not disappear entirely. They became part of the world's spiritual fabric, guiding and teaching those who are open to their wisdom. Their descendants walk among us, not in the flesh, but in spirit, reminding us of the paths we once walked and the future we can create. A modern mystic reflecting on the ongoing influence of Lemurian spirituality. Lemuria and the concept of a global catastrophe. The story of Lemuria, like that of Atlantis, raises the possibility that the world has experienced significant global catastrophes that wiped out entire civilizations. Whether these catastrophes were natural, such as the end of the last ice age, or caused by human actions, the idea of a lost world like Lemuria suggests that humanity has faced and perhaps survived such apocalyptic events before. The Great Floods. Many ancient cultures have myths of a great flood that destroyed the world, sparing only a few survivors who went on to repopulate the earth. These myths are often linked to real geological events, such as the rapid rise in sea levels at the end of the last ice age. If Lemuria was located in the Indian or Pacific Oceans, it could have been one of the lands lost to these rising waters, its people forced to flee to higher ground or perish beneath the waves. The shifting of the Earth's crust. Another theory suggests that Lemuria was destroyed by a sudden shifting of the Earth's crust, causing massive earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and the submergence of entire landmasses. This idea, though speculative, aligns with some interpretations of ancient myths and could explain the sudden disappearance of a once great civilization. If such a catastrophe occurred, it would have had a profound impact on the survivors, shaping their worldview and their stories of the past. The cycle of destruction and rebirth. In many spiritual traditions, there is a belief in the cyclical nature of history, where civilizations rise, fall, and are reborn in new forms. The story of Lemuria fits within this framework, suggesting that the destruction of Lemuria was not the end, but a transformation, an event that led to the rebirth of humanity in new and different ways. This cycle of destruction and rebirth can be seen as a natural process, a way for the earth to cleanse itself and for humanity to evolve and grow. Quotation: "The earth has its cycles, just as we do. Lemuria was part of an ancient world that had to end, to make way for what was to come. In its destruction, new life was born, and the seeds of the future were planted in the ashes of the past." A philosopher's meditation on the cyclical nature of history and the fate of Lemuria. Reflections on the lessons of Lemuria. The story of Lemuria, whether fact or fiction, offers profound lessons for humanity. It serves as a reminder of the fragility of civilization, the importance of living in harmony with the earth, and the dangers of losing touch with the spiritual principles that sustain life. As we face our own environmental and societal challenges, the legend of Lemuria provides both inspiration and a cautionary tale. The fragility of civilization. Lemuria's sudden disappearance highlights the fragility of even the most advanced civilizations. No matter how powerful or enlightened a society may become, it remains vulnerable to natural disasters, environmental degradation, and spiritual decline. The lesson of Lemuria is a call to humility, a reminder that we must always be mindful of our place within the larger forces of the earth and the cosmos. The importance of spiritual and environmental balance. The Lemurians, as depicted in modern spiritual traditions, lived in harmony with the earth and possessed a deep understanding of the interconnectedness of all life. Their downfall, according to these traditions, was the result of losing this balance. In our own time, as we grapple with environmental crises and social unrest, the story of Lemuria reminds us of the importance of maintaining balance, both within ourselves and in our relationship with the natural world. The enduring legacy of ancient wisdom. Even if Lemuria itself is lost, the wisdom it represents endures. The spiritual teachings attributed to the Lemurians, such as the importance of energy work, meditation, and living in harmony with nature, continue to resonate with people around the world. This ancient wisdom, whether it originates from Lemuria or elsewhere, offers guidance for creating a more sustainable and spiritually fulfilling future. Quotation: "Lemuria may be gone, but its wisdom remains. It whispers to us in the wind, in the waves, in the stillness of our own hearts. It tells us to remember who we are, to live in harmony with the earth, and to seek the light within. If we listen, we can find the path that leads to a new golden age." A modern spiritual teacher reflecting on the lessons of Lemuria. Chapter 23. The Legends of Shambhala, a hidden kingdom of enlightenment. The myth of Shambhala, a sacred kingdom beyond reach. Shambhala, often referred to as Shangri-La in popular culture, is a legendary kingdom said to be hidden deep within the Himalayas or other remote regions of Central Asia. Unlike Atlantis or Lemuria, which are often depicted as physical places lost to natural disasters, Shambhala is primarily a spiritual realm, a place of peace, enlightenment, and perfect harmony. The legends of Shambhala have been a part of Tibetan Buddhism and other spiritual traditions for centuries, representing an ideal society where wisdom and compassion guide every aspect of life. Origins in Buddhist teachings. The concept of Shambhala originates from the Kalachakra Tantra, an important text in Tibetan Buddhism. According to these teachings, Shambhala is a pure land where the Kalachakra teachings are fully practiced and where its inhabitants have achieved a high level of spiritual realization. The kingdom is ruled by a line of enlightened kings known as Kulika, or Kalki kings, who guide their people on the path to ultimate enlightenment. Shambhala is described as a place of immense beauty and peace, hidden from the rest of the world and accessible only to those who are spiritually pure and ready to receive its teachings. A hidden kingdom. Shambhala is said to be a physical place, hidden in a valley surrounded by snow-capped mountains and accessible only through secret paths known to a few enlightened beings. However, many spiritual teachers emphasize that Shambhala is not merely a physical location, but a state of consciousness, a realm that exists within the hearts and minds of those who have attained spiritual awakening. In this sense, the journey to Shambhala is a metaphor for the inner journey towards enlightenment. Connection to the age of Maitreya. According to prophecy, Shambhala will play a crucial role in the future, particularly during the age of Maitreya, the future Buddha. It is said that when the world falls into chaos and the teachings of the Dharma are on the brink of extinction, the 25th Kulika king of Shambhala will lead a great army to defeat the forces of darkness and restore peace and harmony to the world. This prophecy has led some to view Shambhala as a source of hope and spiritual renewal in times of turmoil. Quotation: Shambhala is not just a distant land, hidden in the snow-capped mountains. It is the realm of the heart, where wisdom and compassion meet. To find Shambhala, one must first find the light within. A Tibetan Buddhist monk reflecting on the inner meaning of Shambhala. The search for Shambhala, expeditions and mystical quests. Throughout history, the legend of Shambhala has inspired numerous explorers, adventurers, and spiritual seekers to search for this hidden kingdom. While the teachings emphasize that Shambhala is a spiritual realm, many have believed it to be a physical place, leading to various expeditions into the Himalayas and beyond. Western explorations. During the 19th and early 20th centuries, several Western explorers set out in search of Shambhala, driven by a fascination with Eastern mysticism and the hope of discovering a hidden paradise. One of the most famous of these was Nicholas Roerich, a Russian painter and mystic, who led an expedition to Central Asia in the 1920s. Roerich believed that Shambhala was not only a physical place, but also a center of ancient wisdom that could guide humanity towards a new era of peace and enlightenment. His journey, though ultimately unsuccessful in locating Shambhala, contributed to the enduring fascination with this legendary kingdom in the West. Mystical quests. For many spiritual seekers, the search for Shambhala has been more than just a physical journey. It has been a quest for spiritual truth and enlightenment. Tibetan lamas and yogis, as well as practitioners of other spiritual traditions, have undertaken pilgrimages to remote mountain regions in the hope of gaining insight into the teachings of Shambhala. These quests often involve rigorous meditation, prayer, and ascetic practices aimed at purifying the mind and body to become worthy of entering Shambhala. Shambhala in popular culture. The idea of Shambhala has also found its way into popular culture, often under the name Shangri-La. The 1933 novel Lost Horizon by James Hilton popularized the concept of a hidden utopia in the Himalayas, portraying it as a place where people live in perfect harmony and are untouched by the troubles of the outside world. Since then, Shangri-La has become synonymous with the idea of an earthly paradise, reflecting humanity's longing for a place of peace and refuge in a turbulent world. Quotation: The search for Shambhala is a journey not just through the mountains and valleys of the earth, but through the inner landscapes of the soul. To find Shambhala, one must walk the path of wisdom, compassion, and courage. A spiritual guide speaking to a group of seekers preparing for a pilgrimage to the Himalayas. The teachings of Shambhala, wisdom for a troubled world. At the heart of the legend of Shambhala are the teachings associated with this mythical kingdom, teachings that offer guidance for living a life of wisdom, compassion, and inner peace. The Kala Chakra Tantra, which is closely associated with Shambhala, provides profound insights into the nature of reality, time, and the human experience. These teachings emphasize the importance of spiritual practice, ethical conduct, and the cultivation of inner wisdom as the path to enlightenment. The Kala Chakra Tantra, the Kala Chakra, which means wheel of time, is one of the most complex and advanced teachings in Tibetan Buddhism. It encompasses cosmology, astrology, philosophy, and meditative practices designed to help practitioners understand the cyclical nature of time and the interconnectedness of all things. The Kala Chakra emphasizes that by aligning oneself with the cosmic order and understanding the true nature of time, one can achieve liberation from the cycles of suffering and rebirth. Compassion and wisdom. Central to the teachings of Shambhala is the cultivation of compassion and wisdom. The people of Shambhala are said to embody these qualities to the highest degree, living in harmony with each other and the natural world. The teachings stress that true power comes not from physical strength or wealth, but from the ability to act with kindness, empathy, and understanding. This is seen as the foundation for creating a peaceful and just society, both in Shambhala and in the world at large. The path of the warrior. In Shambhala teachings, there is also a strong emphasis on the path of the warrior, not in the sense of physical combat, but in the sense of inner strength and courage. The Shambhala warrior is one who fights the inner enemies of ignorance, anger, and greed, striving to overcome these obstacles through mindfulness, discipline, and compassion. This path is seen as essential for those who seek to bring about positive change in the world and help others on the path to enlightenment. Quotation: "The teachings of Shambhala are a beacon of light in a world of darkness. They show us that true strength lies in compassion, true wisdom in understanding, and true peace in living in harmony with the cosmic order." A Lama explaining the principles of the Kala Chakra to his students. Shambhala as a symbol. Hope in times of darkness. Beyond its role as a hidden kingdom, Shambhala is also a powerful symbol of hope and spiritual renewal. In Tibetan Buddhism and other traditions, Shambhala represents the possibility of achieving enlightenment in the midst of worldly challenges. It serves as a reminder that even in times of great suffering and confusion, there is a path to peace, wisdom, and inner strength. A refuge from chaos. Shambhala is often envisioned as a refuge from the chaos and suffering of the world, a place where individuals can find solace and guidance in the face of adversity. This idea resonates particularly in times of social upheaval, war, and environmental crisis, offering a vision of a better world where harmony and justice prevail. The idea of Shambhala inspires people towards creating such a world, both within themselves and in their communities. The prophecy of Shambhala's return. The legend of Shambhala includes a prophecy that, in a time of great crisis, Shambhala will emerge from its hidden state to help guide the world through its darkest hour. This prophecy has been interpreted in various ways. Some see it as a literal event where Shambhala will physically manifest, while others view it as symbolic, representing the emergence of a new era of spiritual awakening. In either case, the prophecy serves as a source of hope and motivation, encouraging people to keep faith in the possibility of positive change. Shambhala as an inner reality. Ultimately, the teachings of Shambhala emphasize that the kingdom is not just a physical place, but an inner reality that can be accessed through spiritual practice and personal transformation. The journey to Shambhala is a journey within, a process of awakening to one's true nature and realizing the potential for wisdom and compassion that lies within every person. This inner Shambhala is always present, waiting to be discovered by those who seek it with sincerity and dedication. Quotation: "Shambhala is a light in the darkness, a vision of what the world could be. It reminds us that no matter how troubled the times, there is always a path to peace, always a way to find the light within and let it shine for others." A teacher of Tibetan Buddhism reflecting on the symbolic meaning of Shambhala. The legacy of Shambhala, influence on spiritual practices. The legend of Shambhala has left a lasting impact on spiritual practices, both within Tibetan Buddhism and beyond. Its teachings continue to inspire practitioners around the world, influencing meditation practices, ethical teachings, and the pursuit of spiritual wisdom. Shambhala meditation. In the West, the teachings of Shambhala have been popularized through various meditation practices that emphasize mindfulness, compassion, and the cultivation of an awakened heart. These practices are often associated with the Shambhala Buddhist tradition, founded by Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, who sought to make the teachings of Shambhala accessible to a modern audience. Shambhala meditation encourages practitioners to cultivate inner peace and strength, with the ultimate goal of helping to create a more enlightened society. Ethical teachings and social engagement. The ethical teachings of Shambhala, particularly the emphasis on compassion and the warrior's path, have influenced many contemporary approaches to social engagement and activism. Practitioners are encouraged to bring their spiritual practice into their daily lives, working to alleviate suffering and promote justice in their communities. This reflects the belief that true spiritual practice is not just about personal enlightenment, but about contributing to the well-being of others and the world. Shambhala in popular imagination. The concept of Shambhala and its popularized version, Shangri-La, continues to capture the imagination of people around the world. It represents an ideal that many aspire to, a place or state of being where peace, wisdom, and harmony reign. This vision has influenced literature, film, and art, serving as a symbol of the human longing for a better world and the belief that such a world is possible. Quotation: "The legacy of Shambhala is not just a story of a hidden kingdom, but a guide for how we can live our lives. It teaches us that peace begins within, and that by cultivating compassion and wisdom, we can bring a piece of Shambhala into our world." A modern spiritual leader reflecting on the enduring influence of Shambhala, Chapter 24. The legend of El Dorado, the quest for the Golden City. The origins of the El Dorado myth, a golden kingdom in the New World. El Dorado, often referred to as the Lost City of Gold, is one of the most enduring legends of the New World, captivating explorers and adventurers for centuries. Unlike Atlantis or Lemuria, which are shrouded in the mists of ancient times, El Dorado is rooted in the early encounters between European explorers and the indigenous peoples of South America. The legend began with stories of a king so wealthy that he was covered in gold dust during sacred rituals, leading to the belief in a hidden city or kingdom overflowing with gold and precious treasures. The Gilded Man. The original meaning of El Dorado referred not to a city, but to a man, the Gilded One or Golden Man. According to early Spanish reports, this was a Muisca chief in what is now Colombia, who would cover his body in gold dust and then wash it off in Lake Guatavita as part of a ritual to honor the gods. The ritual, witnessed by Spanish conquistadors, sparked rumors that the entire region was rich in gold, leading to the belief that somewhere in the South American interior there existed a city or kingdom where gold was as common as dirt. From man to city. As the story spread among European explorers, the figure of the Gilded Man transformed into a mythical city of gold. This city, El Dorado, was imagined as a place of immense wealth and splendor, hidden deep in the jungles or mountains of South America. The promise of unimaginable riches fueled countless expeditions, as explorers sought to locate this lost city and claim its treasures for their own. The role of the Spanish conquistadors. The legend of El Dorado gained momentum during the 16th and 17th centuries, as Spanish conquistadors, driven by greed and the thirst for glory, ventured into the uncharted territories of the Amazon and the Andes. Figures like Gonzalo Pizarro, Francisco de Orellana, and Sir Walter Raleigh became synonymous with the search for El Dorado, each leading perilous journeys that ultimately ended in failure. Despite these failures, the myth of El Dorado persisted, growing in allure with each retelling. Quotation: "El Dorado was more than a city. It was a dream of wealth beyond imagination, of a paradise hidden in the heart of the New World. For those who sought it, the promise of gold was worth any price, even if it cost them their lives." A historian reflecting on the allure of El Dorado. The expeditions in search of El Dorado, a journey of hope and despair. The search for El Dorado led to some of the most daring and tragic expeditions in the history of exploration. Driven by tales of golden cities and vast riches, European adventurers embarked on grueling journeys into the unknown, often with disastrous results. These expeditions, marked by hardship, conflict, and loss, are a testament to the power of myth and the lengths to which people will go in pursuit of their dreams. Gonzalo Pizarro and Francisco de Orellana. One of the earliest and most famous expeditions in search of El Dorado was led by Gonzalo Pizarro, the brother of the conqueror of the Inca Empire, and Francisco de Orellana in 1541. Starting from Quito, Ecuador, their journey took them deep into the Amazon rainforest, where they faced extreme conditions, sweltering heat, deadly diseases, and a lack of food. The expedition became infamous for its hardships, with many men perishing from starvation and illness. Orellana eventually separated from Pizarro and became the first European to navigate the entire length of the Amazon River, but neither found El Dorado. Sir Walter Raleigh's quest. The English explorer Sir Walter Raleigh made two significant attempts to find El Dorado, in 1595 and 1617. He was convinced that the legendary city lay somewhere along the Orinoco River in present-day Venezuela. Raleigh's expeditions were plagued by difficulties, including hostile encounters with indigenous peoples, treacherous terrain, and internal dissent among his men. Despite his failure to find El Dorado, Raleigh's accounts of his journey fueled further interest in the legend, particularly among European audiences. The aftermath of the expeditions. The expeditions in search of El Dorado were often marked by failure and tragedy. Explorers who set out in hope returned with tales of misery and loss, if they returned at all. Many lost their lives in the pursuit of the Golden City, succumbing to the harsh realities of the Amazon, the Andes, and the Orinoco Basin. Despite the repeated failures, the myth of El Dorado endured, continuing to captivate the imaginations of those who believed that somewhere just beyond reach lay a city of untold wealth. Quotation. They ventured into the unknown, driven by dreams of gold and glory, but the jungle does not give up its secrets easily. The price of El Dorado was often paid in blood, sweat, and the lives of those who dared to search for it. A chronicler of the early expeditions into the Amazon. The truth behind the legend, gold, culture, and misinterpretation. While the physical city of El Dorado was never found, the legend reflects real aspects of the cultures and natural wealth of the indigenous peoples of South America. The Spanish obsession with gold, combined with misunderstandings of indigenous rituals and oral traditions, contributed to the creation and perpetuation of the El Dorado myth. The Muisca and their rituals. The Muisca people, who inhabited the high plains of present-day Colombia, had a complex society with a rich spiritual life. Gold held significant religious and cultural value, used not as currency but as an offering to the gods. The Muisca's gold work, known for its intricate and beautiful craftsmanship, was often misinterpreted by the Spanish as a sign of immense material wealth. The gold offerings made in La Guatavita as part of the El Dorado ritual were symbolic acts of devotion, not indications of vast, untapped riches. The abundance of natural resources. The indigenous peoples of South America had access to abundant natural resources, including gold, which they skillfully mined and worked into various forms. This wealth of resources likely contributed to the stories of a land overflowing with riches. However, the Europeans' perception of wealth differed greatly from that of the indigenous cultures, leading to a distorted view of the actual economic and cultural landscape. The power of myth and misinterpretation. The legend of El Dorado grew out of a combination of real observations and European desires and fantasies. The ritual of the gilded man, the presence of gold in indigenous cultures, and the vast unexplored territories of the New World all contributed to the belief in a hidden city of gold. However, much of the legend was the result of misunderstandings, as the Europeans interpreted indigenous practices through the lens of their own cultural and materialistic expectations. Quotation. The gold of the New World was not just a material treasure, it was a spiritual offering, a gift to the gods. But the conquerors saw only wealth, and in their greed, they turned a sacred ritual into a quest for a city that never existed. A reflection on the cultural misunderstandings that fueled the legend of El Dorado. El Dorado as a symbol, greed, exploration, and the human spirit. El Dorado is more than just a legend of a lost city. It is a symbol that encapsulates the complex motivations behind exploration, colonization, and the human drive for wealth and glory. The pursuit of El Dorado represents both the heights of human aspiration and the depths of human greed, illustrating the dual nature of the quest for the unknown. The lure of wealth and glory. For many explorers, the search for El Dorado was driven by the promise of unimaginable wealth and the glory that would come with discovering a lost city of gold. This quest was emblematic of the broader European colonial project, which sought to extract resources and wealth from the New World at almost any cost. El Dorado became a metaphor for the boundless greed and ambition that characterized the age of exploration. The tragic consequences of the quest. The pursuit of El Dorado often led to tragic outcomes, not just for the explorers who lost their lives, but also for the indigenous peoples who were subjected to violence, exploitation, and cultural destruction. The search for gold became a justification for conquest and colonization, resulting in the loss of countless lives and the disruption of entire societies. In this sense, El Dorado serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition and the costs of imperialism. A reflection of the human spirit. Despite its darker connotations, the legend of El Dorado also reflects the indomitable human spirit, the desire to explore the unknown, to push beyond the boundaries of the known world, and to seek out new possibilities. The explorers who sought El Dorado were driven by a deep-seated curiosity and a willingness to face great risks in pursuit of their dreams. This aspect of the legend speaks to the enduring human fascination with mystery and the belief that somewhere, just beyond the horizon, lies the answer to our greatest desires. Quotation: El Dorado was a dream of gold, but it was also a dream of discovery, of reaching beyond the limits of the known world. It was a dream that drove men to the ends of the earth, and in that dream we see both the best and the worst of what it means to be human. A reflection on the legacy of the El Dorado myth. The legacy of El Dorado, from legend to modern exploration. While the physical city of El Dorado was never found, the legend has left a lasting legacy in both history and popular culture. It has inspired countless works of literature, art, and film, and continues to be a symbol of the allure of the unknown and the enduring quest for wealth and glory. El Dorado in literature and art. The legend of El Dorado has inspired many works of literature, from epic poems and adventure novels to modern retellings. Writers and artists have used the myth as a canvas to explore themes of greed, ambition, and the human desire for discovery. The story of El Dorado serves as a powerful metaphor for the consequences of human desire, as well as a symbol of the eternal search for something greater. Modern explorations and archaeology. While the myth of a golden city has been largely debunked, modern explorers and archaeologists continue to study the cultures and histories that gave rise to the legend. The search for El Dorado has led to significant discoveries about the indigenous peoples of South America, their cultures, and their achievements. Archaeological investigations in places like Lake Guatavita and the Amazon have revealed new insights into the societies that the Spanish encountered, shedding light on their spiritual practices, social structures, and interactions with the environment. El Dorado as a cultural symbol. Today, El Dorado remains a powerful cultural symbol, representing both the promise and the peril of the pursuit of wealth. It serves as a reminder of the complex history of colonization and the impact of European exploration on the New World. At the same time, it continues to inspire new generations of explorers, dreamers, and storytellers who are captivated by the idea of a lost paradise waiting to be discovered. Quotation: El Dorado is not just a city of gold. It is a story, a symbol, a lesson. It teaches us about the power of dreams, the dangers of greed, and the endless human quest for the unknown. In the end, El Dorado is not a place we can find on a map, but a journey we take within ourselves. A modern historian reflecting on the enduring significance of the El Dorado legend. Chapter 25. Reflections on the evolution of religious thought. The evolution of religious thought is deeply intertwined with the environmental and societal changes that accompanied the end of the Ice Age. As the glaciers retreated, the Earth was reborn, and with it, human understanding of the world. This was a time of profound transformation, not just in the physical landscape, but in the spiritual realm as well. The myths that emerged during this period reflect a deep attempt by early humans to explain the dramatic changes they witnessed. Among these are two of the most well-known stories, the flood of Noah and the crossing of the Red Sea by Moses. The flood of Noah, a reflection of the melting ice. Imagine a world where the edges of once great glaciers began to crumble into the sea, sending waves of meltwater rushing into the land. As the Ice Age ended, massive glacial lakes, held back by walls of ice, would have burst in spectacular fashion. Water from the melting ice flooded the land, transforming coastlines and creating new lakes and rivers. For the people living in these ancient lands, the rising waters would have seemed like a divine reckoning. The story of Noah's flood, passed down through generations, may have been inspired by these very events. As glaciers melted and sea levels rose, ancient coastal civilizations were inundated, and survivors of these floods would have passed on their stories. What began as an account of survival in the face of nature's fury grew into a powerful myth about divine judgment and renewal. The flood was not only a literal event, but a transformative one, erasing old boundaries and reshaping the geography of the ancient world. Perhaps Noah was a chieftain, a leader of a small community who gathered his people and their animals to escape the rising floodwaters. They would have built makeshift rafts or boats, setting sail on the swollen rivers, hoping to find refuge on higher ground. The ark, in this telling, becomes a symbol of human resilience, a vessel that carried the seeds of a future civilization through the deluge. In the wake of the flood, as the waters receded and the land dried, those who survived would have looked out upon a world that had been radically transformed. The new rivers and lakes carved into the land by the melting glaciers would become the lifeblood of future civilizations. The flood, then, was not an act of destruction, but of renewal, a cleansing of the old world to make way for the new. Moses and the Land Bridge, a path to the Promised Land. In another transformative event, we turn to the story of Moses and the crossing of the Red Sea. But what if the great body of water that Moses is said to have parted was not the vast sea we know today? After the Ice Age, much of what we now call the Red Sea was a series of lakes connected by rivers and land bridges. The sea level had not yet risen to its current height, and what lay before Moses and his people was not an impossible barrier, but a passage across the land. The Middle East in this time was a land of abundance. The Sinai Peninsula, far from being a barren desert, was green and fertile, its valleys lush with vegetation fed by rivers and lakes. As Moses led his people from Egypt, they would not have encountered a dry, parched wilderness, but rather a vibrant landscape filled with life. The Red Sea, in its reduced form, could be crossed during periods of low water, when the natural land bridges between Egypt and Canaan became passable. Moses, then, was not a miracle worker in the sense of parting the waters, but a master of the land, a leader who understood the rhythms of nature and the changing landscapes of the post-Ice Age world. He led his people not through divine intervention, but through an intimate knowledge of the earth itself. They crossed the land bridge, moving from the fertile fields of Egypt into the lush, green valleys of Canaan, what would become known as the Promised Land. This journey, like that of Noah, was one of survival and transformation. The land they entered was one of opportunity and renewal, a place where new communities could take root and flourish. The lakes and rivers that had been created by the melting ice were now the veins of a new civilization, providing water and sustenance to the people who settled there. The fertile Middle East, a forgotten paradise. During this time, the entire Middle East was a land of fertility. Long before the deserts of today, this region was crisscrossed by rivers, dotted with lakes, and covered in green. The retreat of the glaciers had brought rains and a temperate climate to the region, creating an ideal environment for early agricultural societies. The people who lived in these lands would have been surrounded by abundance, their lives shaped by the rhythm of the seasons and the flow of water. For the early Israelites who crossed the Sinai with Moses, this fertile land would have seemed like paradise. Canaan, the Promised Land, was no arid wasteland but a garden where crops could be grown and communities could thrive. The land was bountiful, the rivers teeming with fish, and the forests rich with wildlife. It was here, in the green hills and valleys of the Middle East, that the foundations of future civilizations would be laid. The new myths of the post-Ice Age world. As the Ice Age ended and the Earth was reshaped, so too were the stories that humans told about the world. The myths of Noah and Moses are not just tales of divine intervention, but reflections of the real environmental changes that shaped human history. These stories speak to the resilience of early humans, their ability to adapt to a changing world, and their deep connection to the land. In the end, the myths of the Great Flood and the parting of the Red Sea are more than just allegories. They are echoes of a time when the earth itself was in flux. The melting glaciers, the rising seas, the transformation of deserts into fertile lands, all of these events left their mark on human consciousness, shaping the stories that would be passed down through the generations. These myths remind us of the power of nature, the fragility of human life, and the enduring spirit of those who came before us. Chapter 26, The Cosmic Silence. Why Extraterrestrials Never Came. In the vast expanse of the night sky, countless stars glitter like ancient beacons, their light traveling through eons of darkness to reach our small, fragile world. For centuries, humans have gazed up, wondering who, if anyone, might be looking back. Could it be that somewhere out there, among the infinite stars, beings far more advanced than us have visited? Or have the mysteries of our own past, those left in the sands of ancient deserts and the rocks of long-gone cities, led us to imagine that gods from the heavens once walked among us? In recent decades, stories of extraterrestrial visitors, of ancient astronauts descending from their star-bound chariots, have captured the imagination of millions. Nowhere is this more compellingly argued than in Chariots of the Gods, Erich von Däniken's seminal work. In it, he poses that many ancient wonders, monuments like the pyramids and the strange markings etched in the Nazca Desert, could not possibly have been created by humans alone. Instead, they were made, he suggested, for the eyes of alien visitors. But as tempting as these theories are, they fall apart when faced with the immensity of space itself. The cosmic abyss. Imagine for a moment a civilization far more advanced than our own. Their ships glide silently through the void, crossing unimaginable distances between stars. They pass worlds covered in ice, barren moons, and swirling clouds of gas. And after an odyssey lasting centuries, they approach our blue planet. Yet here's where the vision becomes murky. Our nearest neighboring star, Proxima Centauri, is over 4 light-years away. Even traveling at the speed of light, a feat far beyond our own reach, it would take over 4 years just to arrive. The kind of technology required for such a journey is not only beyond our current imagination, but would demand a mastery over the laws of physics itself. For beings to travel from distant stars to Earth, they would need to surmount not just immense distances, but the very fabric of time and energy. The sheer improbability of it all is staggering. For even the most advanced of civilizations, the energy and resources required to traverse the gulfs between stars would make such ventures inconceivable. And even if they could, why us? Why visit a small, struggling species on a tiny blue dot when the universe holds so many greater wonders? The myths of ancient astronauts. And yet, stories endure. The Nazca lines, a vast network of geometric shapes and figures spread across the Peruvian desert, are often cited as evidence of extraterrestrial presence. Von Däniken and others suggested that these designs, so large that they can only be fully appreciated from the sky, were made to be seen by alien visitors. But such explanations underestimate the brilliance and cultural significance of the people who created them. Imagine the Nazca people, gathered under the vast desert sky, their priests and leaders directing them in the creation of these colossal symbols. Their knowledge of astronomy, their connection to the land, and their deep spirituality led them to carve these immense shapes, not for beings from another world, but as offerings to their gods. Their gods did not come from the stars, but from the earth, the mountains, and the skies they knew intimately. They were the forces of nature that shaped their lives: rain, sun, and wind. The Nazca lines were not alien runways, but a message to the heavens, a plea for life-giving water in a parched and unforgiving land. The pyramids and the power of human ingenuity. And what of the pyramids, those towering structures that rise from the desert sands, their stones so perfectly placed that many have marveled at how they were built? To von Däniken, such monumental achievements could only be explained by the intervention of extraterrestrial beings. But this explanation robs humanity of its greatest gift, its ingenuity. Step into the ancient world of Egypt. The sun sets behind the Great Pyramids, casting long shadows across the Nile. The pharaoh, a living god to his people, commands a workforce of thousands. Craftsmen, engineers, farmers turned builders in the off-season. They pull the stones using simple but effective tools: wooden sleds, levers, and ramps. Their knowledge of mathematics and geometry allows them to align these great structures with the stars. The pyramids were not the work of otherworldly beings, but of a society that understood its environment, its people, and the universe with extraordinary precision. To suggest otherwise diminishes the intelligence, determination, and collaboration of the ancient Egyptians, a universe too vast to care. Why, then, are these stories of alien intervention so persistent? It is because they feed into our desire for something more, for a connection to the infinite. It is comforting to believe that we are not alone, that somewhere out there advanced beings are watching over us or have shaped our past. But in reality, the universe is not just vast, it is silent. Imagine standing on the edge of a great canyon, so deep that the bottom is shrouded in shadow. You call out, waiting for an answer, but none comes. The only sound is your own echo. This is the reality of space. The distances are too great, the odds too slim, for civilizations to connect in the way we imagine. The silence of the stars speaks volumes. The true builders of civilization. As humans, we have always looked to the stars for answers, but we must not forget to look at the ground beneath our feet. The true creators of the Nazca lines, the pyramids, and every other ancient marvel were not visitors from distant worlds. They were people, our ancestors, who faced challenges, adapted, innovated, and left behind legacies that still inspire awe today. Our ancestors were the architects of their own destiny. They did not need alien intervention to build wonders. Their intelligence, resilience, and creativity were more than enough. To credit extraterrestrial beings with these achievements is to deny the greatness of human potential. In the end, the stars may continue to call to us, but it is the Earth and the history of those who walked it before us that will always hold the truest answers. Conclusion: the echoes of our ancestors. As our journey through the ancient world draws to a close, we stand on the edge of time, peering back into the misty past where civilizations, long forgotten, once thrived. These were societies that, despite the challenges of a harsh and ever-changing environment, managed to carve out niches of innovation, culture, and resilience. Their stories, now interwoven with the myths and legends of countless generations, offer us not just a glimpse into the past, but a mirror reflecting our own potential future. Throughout this narrative, we've seen how the forces of nature, particularly the relentless advance and retreat of glaciers, shaped the destinies of early humans. The Ice Age was more than just a test of survival. It was a crucible in which the earliest forms of human ingenuity and cooperation were forged. As described by Clive Finlayson in The Humans Who Went Extinct, these periods of intense climatic fluctuation forced our ancestors to adapt in ways that would lay the groundwork for all subsequent human development. Imagine the world as it was: glaciers carving the earth like the hands of a sculptor, creating rivers and valleys that would become the cradles of civilization. These geological changes are not mere footnotes in history. They are central characters in the story of humanity. In The Earth's Children, Jean M. Auel vividly portrays how early humans navigated these landscapes, developing technologies and social structures that enabled them to survive in an unforgiving world. Yet, as the ice receded and the earth began to warm, the civilizations that had adapted so well to one environment found themselves in another, unfamiliar world. The lessons learned during the Ice Age were invaluable, but so too were the new challenges posed by a rapidly changing climate. Jared Diamond in Collapse: How Societies Choose to Fail or Succeed explores how environmental factors combined with human choices led to the decline of once great societies like the Sumerians and the Maya. These ancient collapses serve as poignant reminders that no civilization is immune to the consequences of environmental degradation and resource mismanagement. However, the story of these ancient peoples is not merely one of decline, it is also one of resilience. The archaeological record, as discussed by Graham Hancock in Underworld, The Mysterious Origins of Civilization, suggests that many of these societies did not simply vanish, they transformed. They adapted their practices, migrated to more hospitable regions, or integrated with other cultures, passing on their knowledge and traditions. This resilience is a testament to the enduring spirit of humanity, a spirit that continues to drive us forward today. But what of the civilizations that existed before the Ice Age? What of the lost cities that now lie beneath the oceans, swallowed by the rising seas as the glaciers melted? Robert M. Schoch, in Forgotten Civilization, The Role of Solar Outbursts in Our Past and Future, presents compelling evidence that there were advanced societies long before the ones we traditionally recognize. These civilizations, such as the ones possibly submerged beneath the Persian Gulf or the Gulf of Mexico, challenge our understanding of history and remind us that much of our past remains hidden beneath the waves. The collapse of these civilizations, often attributed to dramatic environmental changes, is a stark warning to us today. We live in a world where the same forces that shaped our ancestors' lives, climate change, resource scarcity, and social upheaval, are again at play. The parallels between the past and present are striking, and they suggest that the fate of these ancient societies could easily become our own if we do not heed their lessons. One of the most significant lessons we can learn from these ancient civilizations is the importance of living in harmony with the natural world. As Lynn White Jr. argued in his seminal essay, The Historical Roots of Our Ecologic Crisis, many of the environmental challenges we face today stem from a worldview that places humanity above nature, rather than as part of it. The ancient civilizations that survived the longest were those that understood this balance, who viewed the earth not as an inexhaustible resource to be exploited, but as a living entity to be respected and cared for. As we look to the future, we must carry with us the wisdom of the past. We must recognize that the choices we make today, how we manage our resources, how we treat our environment, and how we govern our societies, will echo through the ages. Elizabeth Colbert, in The Sixth Extinction, An Unnatural History, warns that the path we are on could lead to a catastrophic collapse, not unlike those that befell the civilizations of the past. But it doesn't have to be this way. We have the knowledge, the technology, and the capacity for change. The story of the Ice Age civilizations is not just a story of loss. It is a story of survival, innovation, and hope. It is a reminder that, no matter how great the challenges we face, we have within us the ability to adapt, to overcome, and to rise again. The ancient peoples we have studied were not just survivors of their environment, they were shapers of it. They left behind legacies of resilience, creativity, and wisdom that continue to inspire us today. As we close this chapter on the ancient past, let us do so with a renewed sense of purpose. The echoes of our ancestors are not just voices from a distant time, they are calls to action. They urge us to build a future that honors the earth, respects the delicate balance of nature, and ensures that our own legacy will be one of sustainability, resilience, and enduring life. In the end, the ice may have melted, but the spirit of those ancient civilizations endures. It endures in the lessons they left behind, in the stories we tell, and in the choices we make. Let us ensure that, like them, we leave behind a legacy that will echo through the ages, a legacy that will stand the test of time. As we have journeyed through the history of human civilization, from the time before the Ice Age to the rise and fall of great empires, we have seen how humanity has faced and overcome immense challenges. The story of the Ice Age and the civilizations that emerged in its wake is one of resilience, ingenuity, and adaptability. It is a story that reminds us of the power of human spirit and the enduring quest for survival, knowledge, and progress. The echoes of forgotten civilizations still resonate in our world today. They are found in the ruins of ancient cities, in the myths and legends passed down through generations, and in the technologies and ideas that continue to shape our lives. These echoes remind us of our connection to the past, of the lessons we can learn from those who came before us, and of the responsibility we have to future generations. As we stand at the threshold of a new era, facing challenges such as climate change, technological advancement, and global interconnectedness, we must remember the lessons of history. We must strive to build a world that is sustainable, resilient, and just, a world that honors the legacy of the civilizations that have shaped our journey. Quotation: "The past is not dead, it is not even past. It lives on in our memories, in our stories, in the world we have inherited. We are the guardians of this legacy,